Good evening. Welcome to this month's Fearless Mentorship Call. We're super excited. Tonight we've got Campbell Petrick here, who's a friend to Fearless. She's been around. If you've been to the last two retreats, Campbell has been there as what do we call you guys? A youth leader, a
Yeah,
college coach, whatever,
yeah.
where we have our current college players that come and mentor you live at the retreat. So if that's something that sounds fun to you, check out our retreat for this next summer. Um, Campbell is originally from Lincoln, Nebraska, so she's got the Nebraska connection with Coach AB. She's a pitcher. She played her first 2 years of collegiate softball at the University of Sioux Falls, and then just recently has now transferred to Midland, which is in Fremont, Nebraska. Is it Midland University or Midland College? What is it?
Yep. University. Yeah.
Midland University. All right.
Yep.
Um, and so we're super excited to have her here and hear all about her story and what's led her to this point. So go ahead, Campbell.
Yeah. Hi guys. So I guess I'll just do from the beginning. I started softball really young. Probably about 6 years old, I first started, and then I did one summer just like for my like YMCA, and then started club right after that. So I was really young. I was six, turning seven in eight and under club softball, and started that like really young, and then just never stopped. So I started pitching when I was about 10, probably. And yeah, never stopped doing that either. I'm still a pitcher. I played for Lincoln East, which is a Class A school, so like the biggest of the schools in Nebraska. Played varsity for 4 years there. I also did basketball and soccer training. I was like a student athletic trainer, so really involved in high school. For high school, we went to the state championship my senior year. We got state runner-ups, so that was a fun experience. But I loved high school softball. It was great. I honestly probably loved club just as much, which is really lucky. I know a lot of people kind of pick one or the other, but I was all in on both. I played for the same club coach my whole life, which is also very rare, which is I feel very grateful for. And I played Nebraska Gold, which is like the big organization in Nebraska. So like if you know Jordy Ball, Ruby Malin, they were Gold girls too, Brooke Dumont. So they were like the national team, and I was the regional team kind of under them. So I'm their age, which is kind of crazy to me. They feel so much older, but um, yeah. So I played Nebraska Gold, and then yeah, high school, and my junior year of high school, I kind of really dug into recruiting. I decided I really wanted to play college softball. I loved it and wasn't ready to be done in 2 years. So I got recruited by Coach Piv at the University of Sioux Falls, and I played kind of played my first year under her. I committed my junior year and then got to college my freshman year. And about a month in, I was at practice and just doing bunt defense and went to get a ball and tore my ACL and meniscus and MCL. So kind of tore up my whole knee. About, yeah, 2, 3 weeks in, hadn't even played like a fall scrimmage yet. So that was my whole freshman year. That's I don't know if anyone has heard of it, but that's like a 9 to 12 month recovery, they say. So I had surgery after about a month of even prehabbing. You have to like have enough strength in your knee to even get the surgery. So I had about a month of that, and then surgery in October of my freshman year. And then, yeah, I had to recover, do rehab and PT for close to 10 months was about my recovery. So that definitely took a toll on me mentally, physically, emotionally, all of that. So that was my sophomore year or freshman year. And then going into my sophomore year, I actually had a coaching change. So I had a brand new coach and was just getting into my first real year of playing softball again. And then I played that sophomore year at USF. And then after that year, I decided I wanted to make a change. It wasn't the best fit for me anymore, just for a lot of reasons. But yeah, I just was ready to find a different home. And I knew Coach Beth from Nebraska Gold, who's the head coach at Midland. And after I entered the portal, she reached out to me, and I looked at a couple other universities, but I thought Midland was the best for school, for softball, close to home, all the things. And I'm absolutely 100% happy with my decision. This is definitely where I was meant to be. So, my junior year was really great, both for like my mental health, and the team did great too. I had a good year personally. We made it to the NAIA World Series, which was awesome. So we actually got an at-large bid, which means we didn't win our conference or our like outright conference or tournament or just general play. But we had a good enough season overall that we got to go to a regional, and we were a 3 seed out of 5 at our regional, playing at the number 2 team in the nation, and we swept them. So we got to go to the World Series, which was awesome. And it was a great experience. I'll definitely never forget it. So we went from Oregon to Georgia in about 2 weeks, so literally coast to coast. And it was so great, so awesome. I love NAIA softball, I really do. So I'm back for my senior year this year and planning to take my 5th year next year since I did get a red shirt my freshman year. So I love it. I get 2 more years to do what I love, and I'm very grateful. So even the bad things that happened my freshman year all turned out okay because now I get 1 more year to be at Midland where I'm so happy. So, yeah, I guess academically, I'm a sports management major and getting I guess a certificate. So kind of like a minor, a little different in coaching. And my end goal is to work in college athletics again. I love it. I love the atmosphere. I love the environment. I love athletes. So, hopefully, game day operations of a softball team would be my end goal. But yeah, that's about me, I guess. Yeah.
That's awesome. What a journey you've come through. That's
Yeah.
so neat to hear about. Um, talk about your injury. So that knee injury your freshman year, you said it was tough. Um, what what did you struggle with, and like how did you address that?
Yeah. Honestly, I would say looking back on it now, like hindsight is obviously 2020, but I probably didn't handle it the best that I should have. I got down really fast. As soon as I was out, I was like, I feel useless. I feel like I'm not doing anything for my team. I don't even feel like I'm a part of the team. Even just like I couldn't really hang out with my friends outside of softball because I was in pain and pretty immobile for a while. And I was like, I just don't have a place here. Like, I'm so used to playing in every game or being a part of every game, and I didn't even feel like I could sit up at practice for long enough or be aware enough. Like, I was just so focused on everything with myself and my recovery or my lack of recovery that I was like, I just got so checked out. And I think the things that really helped me the most were my support system, and kind of the unexpected people. Like my physical therapist that I got kind of randomly assigned to by the school was like my therapist too. He was 100% a reason why I even stayed wanting to play softball during that time. I was like, I don't even want to go through the recovery. I'm just gonna quit. Like I can't do it anymore. There was a lot of days that I would go to PT and be like, I'm just gonna quit. I can't do it. It sucks. It hurts. It's hard and I hate it. And he was like, you have to, you love it. He kept me in it 100%. Same with the athletic trainers at Sioux Falls. I like definitely leaned into them a lot. I mean, I was spending every day at both those places. So, finding the like environments that I could open up in, and 100% my family too has been a huge part of why I still play softball, why I was able to get through that hard time. Um, and then I also did go to therapy too during that time. It was just a really hard time mentally. I really felt like in the softball space, I was telling myself that I was useless, and then that kind of leaked into like my personal life. So
Yeah.
it took a lot out of me, but definitely the people around me are like what I leaned into to help me get out of it for sure.
Yeah, and for most athletes, right, especially a college athlete, that might be one of the first times and you've had to like imagine your life without softball. Like,
Yeah.
and if you take that identity a piece away, and all of a sudden, who am I if I don't have softball?
Yeah.
Can you talk about that? Like, how did you work through that? Like, how did you come through that on the other side?
Yeah, I feel like, truthfully, I am really grateful now to have gone through that. Just as like now I get to play an extra year. Now I'm so much more grateful that I do get to play every day. So it's hard some days, especially in college. You practice every single day, and it gets really easy to be like, ugh, I don't want to practice today. I'm tired. I'm sore. And now, as soon as I that thought comes into my mind, I'm like, I am so lucky to get to practice today. Every team has girls that are hurt, and I see ours that are on our sidelines or in our dugouts now, and I'm like, man, I am so grateful that I am healthy and I'm still playing. But yeah, so I guess the question, I, it took me a long time too, for sure. I had a lot of months to kind of find myself, and I definitely in high school was the softball player, for sure. That was my identity. I was on varsity my freshman year. I was young for my grade, so I was 13. So like my coaches, my teachers knew me as the little kid pitching to the big kids. For like that was who I was, and that's who I've always been. I've always been the young one, the pitcher, the softball player, whatever, to my family, and I like that. I wasn't offended by that. I wanted to be the softball player. And then when that got taken away, that's I think why I struggled so much. I was like, I'm nothing without softball. I don't know if you guys experience this, but like the first day of class when they do icebreakers and they're like, tell me your hobbies. Mine was always just softball. And I kind of learned that I needed to find who I was outside of it. And I I think I also really struggled that year because I am just an active person. Like I love to be outside, I love to go out with my friends, and even that was taken away. I couldn't even walk like without help. So, I think that was a big part of it too, but just finding things that I could do for myself outside of softball or even like without my friends, like finding things that I could do on my own to kind of create my own identity outside of just being a softball player definitely helped me too. And that's different for everybody, and it doesn't even have to be activities. Like it doesn't have to be you have to learn an instrument or something big or crazy, which is always kind of what I thought it was. Like even like now I journal, like that's something about me, or like I spend my time doing this or whatever it is, like finding something that makes you happy. It doesn't even have to be a hobby, just ways to make yourself happy outside of softball. And even now that I'm playing, um, now I go back to kind of the more normal struggles of like, oh, if I had a bad game, before it would be like, well, now I sucked because softball sucked. But like, okay, softball me didn't have a good game, but now I'm back at home and I'm with my friends. I'm doing these things. My day doesn't have to be ruined because my softball wasn't good today. So it's good to have kind of a separate identity or an additional identity outside of who you are as a player, for sure.
Yeah, it's all about being that like whole person, right?
Yes.
You're a person who plays softball. You're not a softball player
Softball player.
necessarily, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's so good. Yeah, just trying to find those things, all of those things, and the more things that we can add to who we are, the less we depend on any one of them, and the less it rocks our world if we lose them or don't have access to that thing. So yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Discovering yourself and who you are outside of softball is so important.
Yeah.
I want to talk to. I didn't know that you played basketball, so I think that's awesome. I'm a
Okay.
huge
Yeah.
proponent of playing multiple sports. So
Yes.
you played basketball. How do you feel like basketball helped you in softball? Like, how do you think that translated over?
I also am a huge like fan of multi-sport athletes. I think it 100% helps you mentally, physically, all the things. I think honing in on one thing really young can be great, but I also think it can cause burnout, and I think you become a better overall athlete the more sports you learn, and it all ties together. Even if you think two sports are so different, I promise you that you can find a similarity in them. And just overall being an athlete of any kind just makes you mentally tougher. I truly think, I don't know if softball definitely came easier for me. Basketball, I had to try a lot harder to be not as good at, for sure. Um, and I think that made me a lot mentally tougher. I mean, I was on the freshman team my freshman year, and then I was kind of a JV swinger my sophomore year. and kind of move my way up after that. But um, I I mean, like I said, I was on varsity my freshman year of softball, and even before that in middle school, I was playing freshman state my seventh grade year as on the varsity team. So I was good at softball. I like that was what I did. And then I liked basketball. I liked hanging out with my friends. I liked playing basketball, but I was that was kind of just like a hobby for me. So it definitely made me dig in mentally. Like the basketball season's really long. It's hard. I think it's physically more demanding than softball is in a lot of ways. And just it is like a different mindset. It causes different challenges for you mentally, physically, obviously, as well. So I just really think it's good to try different sports. Not even just if you know you love softball, that's great, but still challenge yourself and try to learn something different and playing that like me gave me more opportunities to meet different people, challenged me. Like I 100% am happy that I played basketball in high school too, for sure.
Yeah, it's so good. It's just you don't lose anything by
Yeah.
expanding your repertoire. Like you don't it only can make you better. And I think like what you said, like even just inhabiting a different position on a different team, right? Like in softball, you're like the greatest. And then you go to a basketball team where like you got to struggle and learn. That
Mm-hmm.
helps you also then look at your teammates maybe on your softball team that are struggling to learn in a different light. Same with like your injury experience. You probably treat your injured teammates much better or much differently than you would have before your injury, just understanding a little bit better what they're going through. So all of that perspective is valuable as an athlete as well and makes you a better teammate in
Yeah,
whatever sport you end up playing. So I think that's really
100%.
important.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, such great wisdom, Campbell. You're wise beyond your years. Well, we've got some time. Girls, if you guys have questions for Campbell, you can go ahead and put them in the chat or you can unmute. Sophia's got her hand up right away. I knew I could
Okay.
count on you, Sophia. Go for it.
What was your like when you played, or you still play, but like when you weren't here? Okay. So what is your before, during, and pregame and after game routine?
Routine. Okay. I'm not very superstitious, but my coach definitely is, so I've gotten to see that, which is it's kind of fun to experience something like that. But me personally, pregame, I like to be very calm. I don't like to get very overhyped. I think that stresses myself out more than I need to be. I already get nervous enough. And I think nervousness is good. I don't think you should shy away from it. I think nervousness shows you care. If you weren't nervous, I don't think you care enough, honestly. That's my opinion. But pregame, I just try to be as calm as possible. I usually in college we get to the field really early, so my pregame doesn't even start until we get to the field. I can't think about it for that long, or again, I'll just get overstressed and start worrying more than I need to. So, for me, for college, at both of the schools I've been to, our pregame starts 2 hours before. And so I guess mentally, I just try to not think about it too much when I get there. I am technically a PO, I guess, so I don't really hit in the game ever. But I still hit every day at practice and before games just to get loose and because it makes me feel comfortable. And I like feeling like an athlete. I think POs are a good thing for sure and they're necessary, but I don't like being classified as one necessarily. So I always like to do everything. I take ground balls with my team still. And then for my like pregame pitching routine, I guess specifically, I don't go too crazy. I do my normal, like what I would throw during practice usually. Um, and then I just really overly communicate with whoever my catcher is that day about what are they seeing? Is my curveball moving? Is my rise ball rising? Am I hitting my spots good? And I think open communication with your catcher is really important because if I'm like, my curveball looks so good today, and she's like, it is not moving at all, then I probably shouldn't throw it that day. And I trust her even just as much as I trust myself. So, that's a little tangent, but I really don't go too crazy in my warm up. I just try to focus on my breathing a lot. That's huge for me, and make every pregame pitch just like I would during the game. So, my pitching routine specifically, um, I do a lot of deep breaths. I think grounding is really important, just feeling where my feet are, not getting too overexcited or worried about the next thing, just one pitch at a time. So I take a lot of deep breaths between my pitches, and mechanically, it's really good for you. Loose muscles are fast muscles. So the better breaths I take and the more I feel just centered with myself, the better I pitch, I think. And I've learned that definitely over the years. So I'm definitely more intentional with taking deep breaths and taking time between each pitch. I think that has made increased my success for sure. Post game, I don't really have a routine, I would say. I mean, I think it's really important that both of my coaches at, or I guess all of my coaches at both of my schools, um, include like debriefs, I guess, after every game, good or bad, whatever the game process or outcome was. The whole team has input on what they thought. So in high school and in club, I was really used to game over, coach goes talks, and then team it up. And I just got really used to that. But since I've been in college, right away it's what do you guys have? And I love that. I think that's really important because if I think, or my whole team thinks, man, that game was really good, or man, that game was really bad, and our coach doesn't agree, like, let's talk about it. What did we do? What did you see? What did we see? So I guess as a team, that's what one thing we really focus on is team input. Coach Beth, who I am playing under now, is really big on having a player-led team, as she calls it. That's her goal is to have her leaders, seniors, whoever it is, kind of have a lot of input and say on what they feel. So I guess that's really our only like post game routine is we talk about it as a team. And just knowing that after that, it doesn't really need to be talked about anymore. Once we leave the circle, it's done. The
You
game
flush it.
happened, and yeah, and we're done. And I think that's really important too. And that's part of having a separate identity from who you are as a player and not carrying it into the rest of your day or afternoon or whatever it is. So, yeah.
Awesome.
Your question in the chat.
Yeah, Sophia asks, what's your favorite food?
My favorite food. Okay, this is kind of weird, but I love breakfast food. Like I could have breakfast 3 meals a day. That's what I always say.
Good
Like
stuff.
food. Yes, it is. It's the best. I
It
love.
is the best.
Yeah, that's
What's
my.
your favorite, the favorite of the favorite? What's your favorite of breakfast food?
Oh, okay. Savory is bacon and sweet is French toast.
Oh, and
Yes,
together?
and together even better. Yeah.
Awesome. All
Yes.
right. Isabel asks, do you have any ways to mentally stick with physical therapy and keep caring about your recovery instead of almost giving up? So what are some tips to keep with physical therapy?
I think as much as it was hard for me to keep going to practice every single day, that was really important in getting to see like what I would be missing out on, I guess. Was really important for me getting to see my friends and teammates still competing and practicing and throwing bullpens and hitting and stuff. And I would go out of my way to toss them front toss when I could, or sit next to the pitchers and tell them, talk to them about their mechanics or what their process was or stuff like that. Just trying to stay involved was really big for me. And then just remembering my why. I mean, I think that's important too, even when you are playing. Like, who are you playing for? Why are you playing? For me, that was my family, and for the love of the game. I'm feel really grateful for my upbringing in softball. I had great coaches and teammates all throughout my career. Um, and I played because they taught me to care and love for this game. So that was, I guess, my big thing. Just like I'm doing this for my family. I have done this for my family. And it really is like kind of picking your hard too. Like being injured is really hard, but also playing is really hard. And they're hard for different reasons, but knowing why you're going through that hard and having a kind of deep understanding about why you want to be there and what you're doing there is really important too. So, yeah, for me that was thinking about my family and just my love for the game, I guess.
Yeah. I love that advice of like staying close to the game, staying close to your team. That
Yeah.
can help you like not only remember your why, but like feel your why, like in real
Yeah.
time and realize this is why I'm doing this because I want to come back to this. And
Mm-hmm.
hopefully your team is that place that you want to get back to for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
All
Yeah.
right. Sophia wants to know about your recruiting process, and then also your transfer process. So those are two kind of big questions. So start off with your recruiting process. What was that like for you?
Yeah. So I didn't really think about recruiting or college softball until I got into high school. I started kind of sending some emails and going to camps and stuff, probably my freshman and sophomore year. And then I still was kind of unsure. I was like, I love it, but I also am a big, like, I love school. I like, that's really important to me. So I was like, maybe I just want to focus on school and being a student and all of that. So I didn't really decide that I wanted to play until probably end of my sophomore year. Um, and then I really honed in on sending emails. I use sports recruits for mine, but I don't think that's necessarily. But I just really sent emails a lot and making sure that they are very personal is really important. Not even just like changing the names of the coaches, that's the bare minimum that you have to do. For me, I made sure that I researched the school and that they knew that I did. So I would be like, I love that you have this many students and that your like professor to student ratio is this, or I love that this town that you're in has this and I could have this opportunity if I went there, or I love that your team has this record, or very specific information so that they know I'm interested in them and not just I'm sending this email to every single coach that I can find their email. That's really important. I found it to be important, and I think that especially as like things are getting a lot more automated, that comes off very personal, and I think is a very good look to a lot of coaches. Um, as far as like looking for schools, I wasn't very specific in the beginning, and that was something that I had to really think about. So, um, it's not just about finding someone that will take you, it's about finding somewhere that you'll be happy too. So, like, I started narrowing down my search to be like, okay, I want to be in a smaller town, but I want to, have a grocery store and have shopping and things to do, stuff like that. So, the schools that are in teeny tiny little towns, I crossed off my list because I was like, I'm not going to be happy if I can't do these things even outside of softball. So you have to think about stuff like that. So for me, some of my requirements were a good sized town, but a smaller school. I wanted to be able to know my professors' names. That was important to me, and I wanted them to know who I was too. So that was something I looked at with school size for sure. Division, I knew that I probably wasn't a D1 athlete. Just self-reflection is important. Don't put yourself in a position that you're not going to be successful at. Um, and then for me personally, I wanted to get an athletic scholarship, and Division 3 does not offer that. So I was looking at Division 2 and NAIA schools, so that narrowed my search too. So just kind of finding things that are important to you is really important, and that's what I use to help me narrow my search and then not have to send 10,000 emails to every single school in your area. Um, so that's kind of how I started looking, emailing coaches that I would have interest in. And then I was really lucky. Coach Piv reached back out to me. She is an Omaha native, so she is a Nebraska person, recruits a lot in Nebraska. And she actually came out and watched a couple of my games at the state tournament my junior year, and a little bit before that too, like our conference tournaments and stuff. And I just was in communication with her pretty much the entire time. I didn't go on any other in-person visits before I went to USF. Looking back, I probably wish I would have, just knowing what I know now. Not saying I wouldn't have gone there. I loved the school. I loved Sioux Falls as a town. I loved my teammates, but I think that's a beneficial thing for sure. Just see what you like, what you don't like, and get comparisons both ways. But yeah, so I visited USF and received an offer while I was there. I sat on it for probably a couple months, and I decided with my family that that would be a good option for me, and I committed to Coach Piv there. That was kind of my recruiting process. Mine was honestly pretty straightforward and simple because I was lucky that I reached out to a coach that I liked and she reciprocated it and wanted to recruit me too. So I was pretty lucky in that aspect. And then transferring was very different, I would say, than getting recruited. So I entered the transfer portal after my season ended my sophomore year. And that process is a little technical, I guess. I mean, you have to communicate with your athletic department and your coaches at your current school that you want to leave and do kind of all of the logistics behind that, which are pretty simple. But and then from there, your name gets entered in the transfer portal. I mean, it's a real like physical portal that coaches have access to and get updates for of who is entering and where they're from, their stats, all of the things. And so the first day I entered the portal, I had like 15 texts from coaches everywhere that I would have never even heard of. I mean, teeny tiny schools in Florida and New York and everywhere. Like I think that is kind of an automated thing too, on their end, but it is a lot different being the one receiving the text instead of sending them when you do your recruiting. Um, for me, one of the main reasons that I transferred was coaching, and I knew that I wanted to absolutely love the coach that I was playing for. That was really important to me. That was why I was transferring. So I looked at two schools that I knew the coaches. I had like uh firsthand experiences with them and really enjoyed them as people and as coaches because those are two different things. And so yeah, I started talking to both of them. And the most important thing for me, and my kind of deciding factor, honestly, was academics, actually. Um, After 2 years of college, you've spent a lot of money, and if you don't get your credits transferred, you lose pretty much all of it. And thankfully, Midland accepted all of my credits, and the other school I was looking at did not have as smooth of a transfer. And I really liked both programs. They're actually very comparable. They're both NAIA. I actually played them last year's, and it was a good game. So, um, yeah, it was a really hard decision. I had friends at both schools previously. They both loved the program. They loved the school. They're both great with academics, but that was my deciding factor, and I am very happy with where I'm at now. I'm very thankful that I ended up here. I think I would have enjoyed my experience there, but I have absolutely loved Midland and Coach Beth, my teammates, the school, everything. So, yeah, transferring is a lot different than recruiting, but the recruiting process definitely helps prepare you to know what you're looking for after, especially after having college experience too. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we are running short on time. Thank you so much, Campbell, for sharing all this stuff and answering all the questions. I really, really appreciate you taking the time to come chat with us.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you our final question that we ask everybody that comes.
Yes.
It is, if you could go back in time and tell yourself something, tell young you something, what would you say to yourself?
I would say be grateful for everything. I think a lot of times I would kind of take everything for what it was in that moment and not realize what it was doing for me for my future me. So just be grateful for everything you get.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's such a good message to end on. Be grateful for everything you have.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you so much for
Thank you.
coming and being with us tonight. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you guys.